Since you asked me something, and John, can I just ask Damien something?
Of course.
Can I ask Damien something? Thank you very much. Then, you say the novel is not political, but I read it as a novel about land. And I understand land to be a burning question in South Africa. Who owns land still and who wants land? And who in a way, got promised land, as the ANC rose, who got promised land. I see this book as being your most Irish novel in the idea of that, yes, all the events occur at a funeral. Well, yes, I think we, yeah. And of course, the question of land being the most serious matter in, say, the late 19th century, early 20th century, when there was a massive redistribution of land, organized oddly enough by the British before they left in Ireland. And but there's a but coming. I promise, there's a but. The but is that you seem to me to put a great deal of care into making the characters organic rather than representative. In other words, they don't represent white South Africa. They represent themselves in all different ways that are not political, that are personal. And yes, it's about the passing of time, and yes, it's about the idea of just the personality, the character, the self, how strange people are, and the politics then is either above or below all that. But that the characters don't. The great thing about the promise is the characters do not represent a politics, but rather they represent something much stranger and more interesting than a politics. Does that make any sense?
Oh yeah, makes absolute sense. I wasn't trying to say that there's no political dimension to the book. Clearly there is. Just rather that actually my attention was far more on precisely what you've just brought up. That is to say, the characters and what happens to them. Yeah, clearly land is the central South African question and has been for a very long time, probably since the first white settlers came here. But on a literary level, it's sort of arrived second. When I got the idea of this question of the land, which is central to the book, a white woman on her deathbed asks her husband to leave the small piece of land that the black lady who has looked after this woman through her last illness lives on, to leave that piece of land to her. But when I got that idea, its appeal was literary, because I thought, well, I've got these 4 funerals and things that are happening to these characters, but what stitches through them? What is consistent from one scene to the other? And that was a very obvious, thread that I could carry through. And it wasn't, the driving force for the book. If it was, and I'd been trying to, construct some sort of, political argument around it, say, then probably the characters would have been constructed in a different way, and an unorganic way, to use your term. And I dislike that sort of writing. So actually it became the title of the book, but it really only became the title of the book at the very end of that process. It was not the central issue for me. Although, yeah, I concede it is the central issue of the book, but I hope not sitting center stage in an obvious and, crass kind of way. I think of it as a thread that's delicately woven through, even though, it's probably more obvious than that.
Thanks both.